got it! Be careful!
Here it comes! Watch out for their mucus! Be ready! If we can make it to the rocks, we may lose them! Oh no! Quicksand!
You okay? Are you hurt?
I think I can manage.
Let's get away from here.
As I feared, it picked up our scent.
I'll handle it. You find someplace safe.
Thank you.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and ladies and gents, we are playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and today we're going to be fighting the Balahara. Now, the Balahara is your first introduction to a Leviathan in this game, and in my opinion, one of the cooler monsters to actually come out. Now, he is a Leviathan, long slithery thing, long body, that kind of thing. I know a lot of friends who quite hate them. At the same time, he's a great introduction monster to show you the different body types in this game. Now, Balahara is a little different from others because he's the digging sort. Now, a lot of people don't like monsters who dig because they go into quote-unquote invulnerability periods where you can't actually hit them, and I do understand where they're coming from. Balahara luckily doesn't do it for very long. He will dig, but he'll dig very briefly along lines of just doing it to actually set up an attack, as opposed to something like Nibblesnarf, who would do it just to kind of run away and waste time. It's not the case here. Now, Balahara, he doesn't have the traditional eyes that you and me know, but he is affected by flash pods, so I would recommend bringing flash pods. His eyes are in his mouth. It's really weird. If you take a very good look, you can kind of see them. One thing you really need to know when it comes to fighting him is the elemental weakness, of course, and his elemental weakness is actually thunder mixed with a little bit of fire. So the fire weapons that we got from Mr. Spicy Chicken Sandwich, gonna use it again. Balahara is a pretty difficult monster to fight if you're not quite used to the way these Leviathans fight, so let's break it down kind of briefly. So Leviathans, they're pretty quick, swift looking monsters. The Balahara will use his tail in a number of ways, the most notable being his spinning drill attack, if you will. Very reminiscent to like Street Fighter Cammy, if you ever played Street Fighter and played against the character or played the character Cammy, the spiral arrow or the cannon drill, whatever she used to call it in whatever game. He can do that. Is kind of annoying because he likes doing it when he's enraged. It does a lot of damage, but he will do it and it does put him in one location to the other. So he'll do it from one spot, he'll throw his entire body on the other side. Another attack you need to watch out for is his sludge bomb attack, his little beam or whatever. I don't know what it is, like a black liquid. I'm not sure what it could be, but it's a particular type of liquid. That stuff hurts. He does it a lot. So one thing about him is that he will, because he has the ability to throw his body at you and shoot like beams and blobs of liquid, he likes to fight at medium to close range. Long range, if you're gunning, I guess you might be okay, but at the same time he will shoot those blobs at you. So the way with guns is you kind of have to be medium range anyway, so you're still going to be within his range. So he's a pretty tough monster to fight. Not quite a wall or a gatekeeper, but he is like a bit more difficult than the other monster you fight thus far, making it to where you have to really rely on your adaptability skills and to stay on your toes. But there's not like a way to make him stop doing these things, like with the spicy chicken sandwich, where you can cut his tail off and he doesn't actually have the ability to set fire anywhere. You can't break his face and he stops shooting water. You can't break his tail and he stops throwing his body at you. You just have to be able to circle around him and adapt a bit. But to make it all easier, I do recommend paying attention to how he does a lot of his attacks. He does have a lot of tails when he's setting up some of these attacks, like the tail, like the actual tail attack. He will rear the tail up, looking like he's about to throw it out, so just be wary of that. When he's shooting the big beam of liquid, he will raise his body up as well, signaling that he's going to do the beam attack. However, the majority of this can be moot if you bring the Lalabrina weapon that is legitimate as well. Paralysis makes this monster a total joke. Yeah, you may have to swing at it a little bit longer because it doesn't have the same amount of damage as what an elemental fire weapon or an elemental thunder weapon would actually have, but if the monster's not doing anything to you and you're doing everything to it, you're kind of winning. So if you can paralyze this monster with any which way you can, I recommend doing so. I'm gunning this time around, shout out to me gunning, and I did use the paralysis shots to actually paralyze him, do a little bit extra damage early on without moving so much. If I had a Blade Master weapon where I don't have to rely on minimal shots to actually paralyze a monster, then yeah, I would actually really bring it and do a lot of extra damage, and I recommend you guys do the same thing. So just be cautious about how he digs and some of the attacks that he throws out. You want to fight him kind of close up. I recommend if you are rather, try to knock him out with like a hammer or something like that, because super close range he doesn't excel too well at, but it's that medium range where he really does throw his body out and actually becomes more of a threat. Now, after smacking him real good, as we all do, because you know we're all gassed out here, let's go take a look at the gear. So the gear for the Balahara, in my opinion, is really good, especially this early on in the game. You get amazing skills, and quite honestly, I would probably run this for a very long time. So the skills I want to take a look at in question is Evade Extender and Quick Sheath. These two abilities are really nice. It'd be nice to get a little bit more Quick Sheath in here, but Evade Extender helps a ton. So if you're doing a lot of rolling around, dodging the monsters and whatnot, it's going to be very useful for, you know, making that a lot easier for you. Now, I use this armor set when I was gunning. Try it yourself. You're going to love this skill. Hunger resistance and quick sheath, kind of whatever. Hunger resistance is really kind of whatever, but extends the time in which your stamina reduces by 50%. So it just takes a little bit longer for your stamina to go down, which is great. Actually, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not bad. It's a great skill to have, so it's not too bad, because, you know, your stamina does deplete after a while, and making it to where it doesn't deplete as fast is pretty good. Quick sheath is a really nice skill that I wish there was like maybe level 2 of. It just makes it where you put your weapon away quicker. This works wonders for longsword users as well. So I know longsword users, I wish I was a longsword, may not tell you much more about it, but there's certain attacks that you guys have that the faster you put your weapon away, the more effective that particular move is. I don't remember what it's called, because I know you guys have weird names for it. But if you play longsword, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, oh yeah, we totally use quick sheath for this particular thing right here. I don't know what it's called. I apologize. I wish I was a longsword user. I'd help you out a little bit more. I could have just asked my longsword friends, but as I'm making this commentary, they're all asleep. Anyway, next is Scaling Prowess, which is just your set skill, which is Mountain Master. Makes it where you can mount monsters much easier. So this set right here can be used for a lot of different people. It could be longsword, it could be gun, it could be sword and shield, but anything who likes to move around quickly and would love to have a little bit extra mounting. Now, outside of the armor, the weapons are pretty good. Mind you, my weapon is unfortunately upgraded, but I will tell you that for the most part, the weapons, the attack power is pretty good. I totally think it's totally fine for where you're at in the game, and you get more affinity, and they're water weapons. They're some of the first water weapons you get in the game, so finding a way to get these weapons are pivotal, because getting elemental weapons early on is going to be huge, especially something like water, because you know in almost every monster in the game there's going to be a ton of monsters that are susceptible to it, like fire monsters of the sort. You're going to need yourself a nice water weapon. It's always good to get you a nice water weapon early on, so I recommend getting the weapon as well, because it's just that good. So to recap, Balahara was a really annoying monster to fight because he is a Leviathan. I totally get that. I respect your opinion on how he actually fights and how annoying he can be. However, to make it a little bit easier on yourself, I recommend bringing things like flash pods and maybe a paralysis weapon to hinder its movement, if the movement and mobility of the monster seem to be a big issue to you. Now, if you don't want to do that and you don't necessarily care about that, like myself, bring yourself an elemental weapon that'll fire, or even thunder if you tend to come back to fight him later after you get yourself a nice thunder weapon. But fire, which you should have at this point, will work very well against him as far as elemental damage goes. But again, fire paralysis are my recommendations when fighting him. Flash pods are going to be useful to make it to where he can't actually run away and like do all kinds of crazy stuff with you. You want to watch out for the attacks that he can throw out, be it his little slime beam thing, and also potentially his tail that he can throw out to do lots of extra stupid damage. That actually helps him extend his range. And speaking of his range is the mid ground, so fighting him very close up is probably going to be more beneficial to you than fighting him in a little bit of a mid range, right where the gunners would tend to be, because he can reach out and touch you from that range with his sludge bombs, which is sludge beam, and with him throwing his tail out at you. He can dig underground, but when he digs underground, if he's not in range, you can use screamer pods or sonic bombs, or whatever you want to call them. Both of these things will make him come up out the ground, have him stuck in there, allowing you to do extra bit of free damage to him. But outside of that, Balahara isn't too incredibly difficult, even though he can be a bit of a pain. So I do recommend you take a bit of caution when you go to fight him. And with that being said, I'm pretty sure you guys will be a-okay. But with that said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know if you actually learned a little bit from the Balahara here. Remember, make one of his weapons, because water weapons are really good. I myself personally like the Balahara quite a bit. He's one of my favorite monsters thus far. His armor is insanely cool looking, and I do like Leviathans personally, so I have no problem with fighting him, because I fought Leviathans for over a decade at this point. But anyway, with that being said, it's been your boy. You all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you all later, and may the desire centered forever be in your favor.